Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Why You Should Use Remine. I'm Sharon Crawford. I am your instructor today. As we get started, I'd like to do a quick sound check to ensure that you can hear my voice clearly and that you can see my screen. I am currently on the Florida Gulf Coast MLS dashboard, which is your best friend. When you log into the MLS, this is the dashboard where you land. And this middle portion right here is where you're going to find all of your core tools that you have single sign-on access to. And that's where we're going to be working today. Before we jump into Remine and understanding why you want to use Remine, I want to point out to you what you've been seeing here in the pre-webinar loop that I was just running on that PowerPoint. Right here on your dashboard, you have MLS training. I think the name of this might change pretty soon to MLS Video and Forms Library. I'm not 100% on that, but it's an amazing resource for you guys. It can save you some time from having to play phone tag and calling into the office. When you first click on that link, you'll want to scroll down the page just a little bit, and you'll find that the videos are first, and you've got 3 columns here. So of course, those basic FGC MLS videos for new subscribers in particular, your matrix videos are all right here in the middle, and then listing input. If you are new to the MLS, I really want to encourage you to come in here and get familiar with the listing input videos, because they will really help you a lot as you're entering your first listings. Also, we have pre-recorded webinars. So some of the webinars that we currently do, you will find them recorded here. So if you can't catch the webinar, you will find the class right here. If you have any questions once you watch the webinar, just feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to answer those questions for you. You'll also find some information on rules and regulations. The rules and regulations are going to be really important as you're entering those listings in the MLS. So these listing input videos really tie closely together with your rules and regulations. And then from that point on, you're going to find videos on your member benefit products, those core products that you find on the dashboard. So everything from Agent 3000 to Builders Update. And for the most part, they're in alphabetical order, and then the videos are in alphabetical order as well. But you've got My Undercover Agent, RPR is here. We're going to be talking about Remine today. You can see there's a great number of Remine videos in here. So if you need a quick refresher, this is a great place to come. And the best part is these videos, for the most part, are really short and to the point. And of course, they're named by topic, so they're easy to find. Continuing to scroll down that page, all of your listing input forms are going to be found here. Other MLS forms that you might need, like the non-participation agreement, is here. Information about rules and regulations, helpful resources in the middle, and then over here on the right-hand side, course handouts for all of the webinars and classes specifically related to the MLS. So not necessarily the education classes, but your MLS classes are going to be found over here. So I just wanted to take a moment to point that out to you. And here we are back on the dashboard. I am going to make my screen just a little bit larger so you guys can see everything really well. And we have Remine right here in the core tools area. And so I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to click on Remine. When you first click on Remine, sometimes it will take just a minute to open the page because it goes through this cookie clearing process before the page opens. And before we jump into some of the features that we really want to focus our time on today regarding why you should use Remine, just some really quick basic navigation to help you as you're getting started. Daily is right over here. So this is going to be your menu. your navigation menu, and daily is effectively your dashboard. So just like the My Matrix dashboard, for example, this is the landing page or your dashboard. These widgets you can see here, you've got the ability to delete these cards. You can duplicate them if you should want to. You can hover here and left click and drag and move them around. So you can keep, for example, property notifications, any saved searches that you create in Remine can be found here. I have mine currently set to keep an eye out on listing updates for the 33914 zip code and for the last 7 days. But as you can see, that's adjustable. It's kind of like Market Watch in Matrix, but you can focus on a specific area. So it's a little different, but it's kind of the same purpose. It gives you that sort of broad view of what's going on in the market, but it allows you to narrow down to some very specific areas by zip code. Continuing to scroll down, there's a little Twitter feed here. If you are on Twitter, you might want to follow Remine. Engage is how you engage with your contacts, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. And again, Market Pulse. So this is really just sort of an overall view, kind of like your Market Watch in Matrix. Again, just I guess probably to be a little more realistic, this would be listing updates would be more reminiscent of your hot sheets, where Market Pulse is more that broad overview with the various status changes. And of course, you can customize that as well by zip code and then how far back you want it to look. When you have listings in the MLS, you can also see those listings here in Remine, and you can view those listings from either your office or your own listings, and then you can view them based on their status as well. So the next thing, and where we're going to be spending some time, is search. So when we're searching in Remine, we're going to come back here in just a moment to do some little prospecting, but I wanted to go ahead and show you search and point out that when you're using search and you're prospecting or you're searching for buyers, you always want to make sure this toggle is set to properties. And then if you're looking at a specific listing, if you want to pull up a specific property, then you'll change over to this listing toggle. And we'll talk about your results. All of your results will always come up over here on the right-hand side. We'll get to that in just a moment. Any saved searches that you create in Remine, you will find them here. We're going to be spending some time with carts, because when you're prospecting in Remine, you locate the property and target the audience that you want to work with, and then you place those listings in a cart in order to go ahead and either export them to an Excel spreadsheet to send to your printer, or you can print those mailing labels. And there's even an option, Remine is partnered with a company where you can send those out and select your mailer, whether it's a postcard or a letter. So we'll come back to that again. Engage is where you can invite your clients to Remine. And this is a good time to mention that there's also a Remine mobile app that you will want to download, and it will sync with your desktop version of Remine as well. So you can come in here, you can click on invite and invite your clients. You can start a new chat with agents. When we come into contacts, you'll notice that you can upload your contacts. So you can do that here. You can click on upload contacts, and you'll want to download this CSV file, which will work with whatever platform you are currently using, whether it's Excel spreadsheet or Numbers, whatever your platform is for spreadsheets. It's going to work with most any of those. And you'll want to download this template and make sure that you're uploading your contacts in this format so that they will upload with no problem. Of course, you can also, let me click back on contacts right over here. You can also click here and add contacts individually. So you can see it's pretty straightforward. You can just add that information right in. And then we'll talk about groups later, but you can add them to a group as well. And then we are going to be spending some time in marketing, so I'm not going to go too deeply into that. I do want to point out, I'm going to go back here to the daily, which is, again, our dashboard. And I want to point out right here, you've got this big blue circle with the question mark. This is a very cool tool for you guys, because if you click on that, not only will you see announcements about anything that's new in Remine, but one of my favorite things about this is this take a self-guided tour. You can click on that, and depending on what it is you're looking to do, it will walk you right through that process. So if you wanted to find sellers, for example, you can click on that. It shows you it's an 11-step process. So you can click right on that and then click get started. And these little pop-ups are going to happen right here. So for example, click search to get started. So we'll click on search, and then we click next, and it'll tell us what the next thing we need to do is. So this is perfect for one of the things that we're doing today. I'm going to go ahead and close that down. We want to be in search, and I'm going to click over to properties really quickly. And what we are going to do is we are going to do some geographic farming or prospecting, whichever term you prefer. And then we are going to select the listings that we want to use. And then I'm going to show you how you can export them to a spreadsheet, how you could print your labels, the mailing labels, or how you could go ahead and send them directly to a printer. So that'll be the first thing we'll do. James is asking, is Remine going to replace Matrix in the future? There's no reason to think that that is true. I have heard nothing about that. Matrix is our front end system. So let's do a little bit of prospecting. So when you first come in and you're ready to do your prospecting, hopefully you already have a neighborhood or a general area in mind, right? So I'm going to click on search, which we're already there, but that's what you'll want to do. You want to make sure the toggle is set to properties right here. And then you'll notice you can search by address, cities, zip codes, neighborhoods, and even by schools. And that would just be a situation where you type in a school name that your client might want to be close to, and it'll pull up properties that are nearby that particular school. So that's how that works. Really quickly, I'll point out the nationwide search. You notice that check mark is in that box, and that just is letting you see that you can actually view parcels all over the country, can get information. It's a great way to create a referral business. So whether clients are moving from some other location to this area, or whether you've got clients that are moving from this area to another location, having the ability to search nationwide can benefit you with regard to gaining some referral business. All right, so here in addresses, let's go ahead and prospect, and let's prospect the Fiddlesticks Country Club community. So I'm just going to click right there in the address bar, and as I begin to type Fiddlesticks, I want to show you. So I've got Fiddlesticks in there, but I scroll down just a little bit, and here I have my neighborhoods. So it's really important that whether you're typing in a zip code or a city, that you're not just typing it in, but you're checking the list as it populates down below, because that's what you're going to want to click on in order to zoom that map into the proper location. Now, of course, I've been in here working from previous webinars, so I've got some things to get rid of here really quickly, just so I can demonstrate them to you. So I just cleared the dashboard by clicking those X's on those boxes. And of course, that's what you can do to clear your dashboard in the future. You'll notice whatever you're doing the last time you're in Remine, it's going to hold that search for you. So when you come back in and you come to the map, that same information is going to be right there on your screen. So if you want to start a new search in a new area, you'll need to clear that off. You notice we've got all these giant blue dots, and that just means that there are too many properties to show them individually, so you're seeing those blue dots. But again, we're prospecting. We are looking for sellers, and we're looking for potential sellers in the Fiddlesticks community. So we can begin to add filters. Now you'll notice I've got off market here. The way you want to look for those off-market listings is by clicking the down arrow next to add filter, and you'll notice these little push pins. I've got the off-market push pin selected. That way I'm ensuring that anyone that I am marketing myself to, that property is not currently on the market. Doing it that way, you don't have to worry about statuses and all of these other types of things that might run you into a situation where a property is temporarily off market or withdrawn or something of that nature. So just all you have to do to get that push pin to turn blue is just click on it. And so now I am only going to be looking at off market properties. Now, to really narrow in on the type of customer that I want to find, over here on the left-hand side, you've got some things that you can begin to add. So for example, property value. If you are wanting to prospect in that luxury real estate category, this property value would give you the opportunity to be able to add that in, depending, of course, we're in Fiddlesticks right now, but if you're working in whatever area, adding that property value can allow you to zero in on that luxury real estate if that's what you choose to do. I'm going to leave that one blank. The next one we come to is home equity. This one's kind of nice because this allows you to target those people that definitely have some equity built up in their home. We've also got a sales score I'll show you in just a moment. But, you know, if you want to ensure that there's some equity in the home, then you can add this layer as well. Now, I'm going to go ahead and leave that one blank for now, but it is there. And the next one is ownership time. Now, this one we're going to use because I want to target people that have been in their home for at least 15 years or more. To get those people that are 15 years or more, I can select both of these. So I've got 15 to 20 years, and then I've got 20 years or more. If I just wanted 20 years or more, of course, I would only need to select the one. But if you want 15 years or more, you can select as many of these as you like based on that time frame that you're working with. But once I make my selections, I'm just going to click apply. Now, if you want to use years that you don't see here as current options, then you can manually enter the minimum number of years and the maximum number of years here. If there is no maximum, you can just leave it blank. And maybe, for example, you want 7 years or more. You could not use these at all. You could enter a 7 here with no max, and you're going to pull those listings that the owner has owned for a minimum of 7 years. So you could add that as well. I'm going to clear that out, and I'm just going to go ahead and select 15 and 20 and then apply. Next thing we have here is sales score. So I'm going to click on sales score, and you'll notice there's low, medium, and high. When I sent you the link to the webinar this morning, I provided you with a handout that will describe to you how they derive the sales score and what constitutes low, medium, and high. So you can determine what you want to look for here. For example, most people are going to want to go with high to ensure that we bring in some listings. I'm going to go ahead and select medium as well and go ahead and click apply. You see, I've got ownership time. It added that up here. It's got my Fiddlesticks Country Club. I got my sales score added. And of course we had off market. Now we go down here to absentee. If you only want to market to absentee owner homes, so let's just say, for example, you want to come in here and you want to prospect for people that are currently renting, then you would want those absentee owners. And probably you don't care whether or not they're in state or out of state. If you're targeting those renters, you're going to want to select absentee owner. We're going to be looking, because of the amount of time that I selected, we're going to be looking at owner occupied. So I'm going to select owner occupant and go ahead and click apply. You're going to use these arrows right here to go up and these arrows to go down. The next thing we want to look at is flood zone. Now, of course, we're prospecting for potential sellers, but I want to point this out because this is the only tool that we currently have that allows you to search for homes based on flood zone. With the new FEMA 2.0 that just came out not too awfully long ago, I believe it took place in October, but they really started talking about it this year. You can actually come in here and you can show the flood boundaries if you want to. You can turn that on, and then you can search for those low flood zone homes if you like. You can't get real picky with regard to your flood zone codes like AE and all of that. But you can do the low to medium risk. Keep this in mind, because even when you're searching for buyers, you can come in here and use this tool to search by flood zone if that's something that's really important to that potential buyer. So I'm not going to use that one today. I'm going to go ahead and close that one down, but I wanted to make you aware. If we continue to use our arrows right down here at the bottom of the screen, we can continue to scroll through. The next option is building type. We are going to look for single family homes today, but you can see you can change that and you can select as many as you would like to apply to your prospecting. So I'm going to click apply to add that layer as well. Now, if you are prospecting for vacant land listings, then you can use land use, and you can select, of course, residential or whatever type of property you want to be looking for. So land use is an option as a layer as well. I'm not going to be using that because we're already in Fiddlesticks, and so that's residential. And then we come into mortgage rate. That's not really something that's going to apply currently to what we're doing. James says aesthetics appear to be easier on the eyes than matrix. It's just a different type of database. Remine, RPR, Realist, all of these tools that do have some really cool features would not even be possible without the MLS. These databases pull from the MLS and from tax and public records. They don't give us all of the secret sauce. I always tell people it's like KFC original recipe. They're not going to give us all of the secret sauce recipe, right? They're not going to tell us everything. But we do know that they heavily rely on pulling information from the MLS as well as from tax and public records databases. So you'll find some functionality here that you won't find in Matrix. However, Matrix is still going to be your primary database. Now, this is another good tool right here, mortgage age. If we click on mortgage age, this is great when you're prospecting. You're wanting to ensure that there's some equity in the home. So you've got the equity tool that we saw just a moment ago, and you can choose to use that or not. You can also look at that mortgage age. Now, we've already looked at how long the person has owned the home, but sometimes how long they've owned the home doesn't necessarily mean that their mortgage is that old. They may have taken out an additional mortgage since they purchased the property. So by looking at the mortgage age or adding that into your search, you can really zero in, kind of understand what type of equity might be in the home if you choose not to use the equity tool. Now, I'm not going to use this one, but I wanted you to be aware of it because it's a really powerful tool that you can use to get a really good handle on, for example, those homes that are paid off. There's no mortgage at all, or they've had that mortgage for 20 or more years. So you can see there's a fair amount of equity. In today's market, if they've owned their home for more than 2 years, they've probably got a fair amount of equity given the acceleration in property value, since, you might not have to be as picky with that right now. But, we have to keep an eye on the market and see what happens. But this is going to be a great tool to use to help you really zero in on those homes that have equity. Then, of course, the last sale price, that's probably not going to matter too much to you when you're prospecting, but you can take a look at that if you want to. And distressed. So again, not really going to be something we're working with today as we're prospecting, but you can come in here and you can search for properties that are under Liz pendants. For those of you that are new, Liz pendant simply means that the lender has notified the current owner of the property of their intent to foreclose. So you can see that. You've got notice of default. You've got those properties that are in foreclosure. And then the notice of trustee sale. You can view properties. If you've got an investor that works with these types of properties, these are going to be some really valuable tools to use. We have set all of our parameters, and it looks like we've only pulled 3 results. So actually I only have 2. Once you have off market selected, don't forget, like I just did, to come in here and select not only off market, but also closed. I saw a little active card over here, and that put my radar up. So yes, once you add off market, please remember to select off market and closed, meaning they are off the MLS currently. We were just doing fiddlesticks. I didn't expect to pull a lot of properties, but I want to show you how you could adjust this. So for example, we selected ownership time of 15 to 20 years. And as I mentioned, in today's market, with property values having increased the way they have recently, we could go ahead and add in 5 or more years if we wanted to. Click apply. And well, it didn't change the scope of what we pulled. We still only have those 2 properties based on the other parameters that I've set. And that's fine. Again, that's fine for the purpose of the functionality. Regardless of the number of properties that you pull, you can click on these property cards and you can see the details about the property. Now, because they're off market, let me just close that really quick. Properties that are on market, you're going to see their listing photo here. Properties that are off market are often not going to have a photo. I'm going to go ahead and click on that property card again. So we'll see the property pinned to the map in place of that first listing photo right up here. Then we can see some details. So from the public records, we can see the property was purchased by this lady in 2002. It currently has a medium sales score, this year's taxes. What I really want to point out to you here, and while I suggest that you go through each one of these, I can scroll down on this page, or I can use these options on the side right over here to move down to these various areas. So of course I can view the property's history. I can look at that mortgage history. I can see that most recent mortgage activity that has taken place. So it looks like there was a refi that took place in March. And of course, we've got schools, we've got current valuation, demographics. some demographic information there. And then I want to point out owners and associated people. On your property cards, you're going to see these owners and associated people. On these cards, you see contact information. So we have the owner and associated people. These are going to be that use this property's address as their mailing address. So this could be a roommate, this could be their children, this could be their spouse. That may not be the title. Associated people, that's what you're going to find here. When we click on contact information, we're going to see phone numbers and email addresses. But you'll notice Lori here is on the do not call list. So it's really important that you honor that do not call to keep yourself out of trouble. Not everybody is on the do not call list, but this is just happens to be one that is. But you can see here, this is the place where you can gather phone number information as well as direct email addresses that you can use for some direct email marketing. There's our 2 results. So let's, for demo purposes, I'm going to uncheck these and select apply because that's going to give us these 76 results. So you'll notice on the card, it also says low. And here we do have off market. Now these recently off market properties, you might see a listing photo here. That just means that they were recently in the MLS when you do see the photos. Now you can click on these cards and select individually which ones of these that you want to send your mailer to. But if you want to, and to do that, you just click here in the top right hand corner of these boxes, right? That's how you can select them. So you can go through them and select them one at a time. Or if you just want to go ahead and market to all 76 properties, you've got select all right here. So I can click select all, and that's going to include all 76 properties. Now, the thing that's a little different here is in Remine, we need to add these properties to a cart before we can create our mailing list. So right up here in the top right hand corner, we are going to click on cart. We are going to give our cart a name. And then once you type that in, I still have to click on create. And then I click on add 76 properties to the cart. Now, to get to my cart, I'm going to come over here on the left-hand side of the screen and click on those carts. The most recent cart you created will always be right up here at the top of your carts list. It's always going to be right up there at the top. And over here, it's going to be defaulted to those 76 properties. Now, again, you can click on these addresses and look at these properties one at a time if you want to. I'm just going to go ahead and click on select all right here. If I'm viewing them one at a time, I can click the individual boxes. But I'm just going to select all by clicking right there. Now from here is where you have some options. If you have a printer that you use and you just want to export these to a spreadsheet, you've got the export button. You click on that. You're going to give the file a name. Didn't mean to do that. Can't type today. There we go. So there's my file name. I've got mine. I don't have that selected. I've got mine selected. That allows me to select the columns that I want to include in my export. So because mine are owner occupied, I can use the property mailing address. I can add in the owner information. So you can see, you can just go through here and gather whatever information you want to export. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab mailing address information, and all of the available items are right here, and you can scroll through and add anything that you want to add to your export. So if any of these features matter to you, you can add them. I'm just choosing the owner information, and the mailing address information. You can select to make that your default setting and then simply click export. Get the little note here that it'll notify me when my export is ready. It's right up here. It's already ready. So I can click download. And right down here in the bottom of my screen, we can see that that Excel spreadsheet is prepared. It looks like it's ready now, and I can select to open that. And I'm actually going to have to drag it over from another screen we have here. So this is what we get. So you can go and get rid of, you can set this up however you want to, but you can delete columns that you're not using. We're using all single family homes, so there's not going to be unit number. So I can select to delete that. But you can set this up however you want, or however your printer likes to receive it. That's going to be up to you, the information that you include. And of course, then you can save that to your computer and then send that on to your printer. So I'm going to go ahead and close that Excel spreadsheet. And let's look at our other options. So if I click on send mailers, I have to give it a campaign name. It wants us to name everything. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a campaign name. And I'm going to build my mailing campaign. Just clicking on that button. And that opens in that partner product that I mentioned to you a moment ago. So you can see here, it kind of walks you through the process. Choose a design, personalize it, order and mail and delivery. So you can choose that. I've got 76 here. There's postcards. You can view the different types of postcards and you can choose your design. If I scroll down, you can click on the different types of postcards. So for example, absentee owner, we weren't working with an absentee owner. We were kind of just doing general farming, but you can click on these and see the different types of mailers that you can send out. And of course, these are the ones that you would be paying for. So I'm going to close that tab. And again, that's by clicking on send mailers. And you can pay for that right there in Remine once you make your selections. Now, the other choice is to click on more, and then you can select print mailing labels. And you can choose whether you want property owner or current address. So this is going to be their name or the current residence. You can add that if you want to use the property address or the mailing address. If you're working with those absentee owners, you would want to select mailing address. We're going to go ahead and use property address because we did not use absentee owners. And then the label type. Now it gives you the different types of labels for Avery. Even if you're not purchasing Avery labels, even at Staples or Office Max, the generic labels will always give you somewhere on the label, on the packaging, it'll tell you that it's compatible with Avery number so-and-so. So you can make sure that you're selecting the correct mailing label. And then all you have to do is click right there where it says print labels. That is going to open in a PDF document. And there we have our mailing labels. And so from here, if I'm ready to print them, of course, I can go ahead and send them to my printer. Or if I'm not ready to print them, I can select to save them as a PDF and just save them to my computer if I choose to. So I'm going to cancel that out and just go ahead and close that tab and close here. I am going to go back to search. Now, once we set up our search parameters like we did with Fiddlesticks Country Club just a moment ago, let's go ahead and add that in again. Once we set that up, we can also choose to save this search. So if we want to use this as a prospecting area and have it refresh with any, let's say we come back a month from now and we want to prospect this area again, it's going to save all of our search parameters, but it will refresh with anything new that might pop up on the list. So we would just click on Save Search, give it a name. So we could just call this Fiddlesticks, for example. We can share that in an auto email if we want to. We can send a one-time email if we want to, or we can simply save the search, which is what I'm going to do. And then you will find that saved search here under Saved Searches. I can edit the search and I can delete the search right over here. So those are your saved searches. Let's check out marketing right over here, marketing. So you can create campaigns. You can look for listing leads. You can look for buyer leads. You can look for both. Yes, Carlos, in just one moment, I'll be happy to do that. Carlos has asked me to repeat printing labels. Be very, very happy to do that in just one moment. So under marketing, you can see you can look for listing leads, buyer leads, or buyer and listing leads. And if you're not sure, you can select by the type of advertisement that you want to do. So you can see here, you can choose to do either digital marketing or mail marketing. If I click on digital marketing, takes that page just a minute to open up. But this is where you can begin to decide the type of marketing that you want to do. So let's just say you have a listing, for example, that you want to market here. So this, you're just going to go through each one of these and fill them out. It's really, really pretty simple. So first of all, you have to link your Facebook. You can see Facebook, Instagram. This is Facebook Messenger. So you'll have to link everything. It's going to have you choose the name of your Facebook page. So you need to have a business Facebook page, for example, in order to do this. It won't work with a personal Facebook page. You can click on link a new page and continue with Facebook. So that's how you would go about doing that. The area that you want to target, you can type in by city or zip code. So let's just say we wanted to target Cape Coral. As I begin to type, I see my options and then my targeting radius. So, you know, for Cape Coral, 15 miles is probably a pretty good place. You're going to give your post a header right here and the body of the text. It's going to include your agent name, and I'll show you in a minute where you can set up all your settings and everything. And then the main image that you want to add to the post. So you can select from the gallery, which you have to upload from your device, any photos. So this might be your headshot. It might be a listing photo if it's your own listing, or you have permission to advertise the listing. You can do that as well. And then again, just, you know, follow through the steps. Click next, set the schedule, and then check out. It's really very inexpensive. It helps you to manage your digital marketing. So back over here, that opens in a new tab. So I'm going to close that down. But right over here, you can find some more information to walk you through that. Another great resource for you guys for Remine is right here under support. Click on support and then click out to support center and come into this page. You've got how-to videos, you've got articles, you've got Remine training webinars. So these are webinars that are actually performed by Remine trainers. And then trends and insights. These are going to be, you know, all about what's happening in the market as it relates to the Remine product and how you can utilize Remine to do that. And then as you scroll down, you can see all of these categories. So if I come into marketing, I could click on that one, for example, and how to create a Google digital ad or how to create a Facebook digital ad. You can click on that and it just walks you right through every single step of that program. You can even save these pages. You can download and save these pages. So again, just really, really helpful. Remine does an amazing job with their training. It's just set up in such an easy to use format. All right, so Carlos, let's show you how to print those labels. So if you'll remember, once we put in all of our search parameters and we gathered the properties that we wanted to market to, we placed those properties in a cart. So we have to go over here to carts to get to our, so here's our cart that we created. And to print the mailing labels, if I want to print all 76, I'm going to click this check all box. Or if I just want to pick and choose, I can select the boxes individually like that. But I'm just going to click the select all right up here. And then you're going to click on more. And then print mailing labels. And then just walk through those steps. Do you want to mail to the property owner or the current resident, which is what you would choose if you were mailing to renters? Whether you want to send it to the property address or the mailing address. Remember, if you're marketing directly to an absentee owner, if you're marketing directly to an absentee owner, you want to use the mailing address. If you're marketing to the renter at a property where there is an absentee owner, then of course you would choose the property address. And then the label type, and then just print labels. It's that simple. Jane, I am not entirely sure. What I recommend that you do is go in here to support, click on support center, and scroll down here to marketing. And this information right here, based on the type of ad and how long you want it to run, that's going to determine the pricing. It gives you some best practices and that type of information. But as far as the pricing structure, it's really going to depend on how long you want the ad to run and all of that. But you will find that information. For example, with Google, you'll find it right there. You know, if you've got that customer that you can come in here, make sure you're clearing off, like I'm going to click on this X right here. Make sure you're clearing off all of these filters that you've selected when you're searching for a buyer. And let's just say I am going to be searching in, let's just go ahead and do Fort Myers. And remember, I typed in Fort Myers, but I've got to come down here and click on Fort Myers, Florida. Then I can come in and click on flood zone risk, and I can select that low to medium risk and select apply. And now I've got all of these results. Now I'm going to want to select some other filters if I'm searching for a buyer. So right here under add filter, I can choose my status. I can select that. And we'll also want to add price. You would want to be adding bedrooms and bathrooms, I'm quite sure. And we'll go ahead and add garage just for fun. Once you've added those, you'll want to come up here and click on them. So under status, for example, we want to look for those active listings if we're searching for a buyer. We want to include our price range. So whatever that price range might be, you can enter odd numbers. They don't have to be, your even numbers. Let's just do this. And of course, choose your bedrooms and bathrooms. Now you don't have to put in a minimum. You can put in a maximum, or you can just do a minimum. You can do like 2 and leave maximum open. And that's the same as saying 2 or more. The same thing with bathrooms. We could do 2 or more by just entering a 2 there. Has a garage. We want to say yes. And we're in Fort Myers. We already selected our low to medium flood zone and apply. So we've already added that. And it looks like we added too many filters, or let's get rid of some of this. Might be the price range that messed me up. Let's just do a max of, let's do this just so oh, you know what? I'm so used to, I know what I did. I am so used to it. In Matrix, you don't have to enter the 3 zeros for the thousands. And I just entered as if it were hundreds of dollars. So that's why I had 0 results. You do have to enter your 3 zeros here. So if I want to search 600, 700, I have to make sure I'm entering all of my zeros. And there we go. All right. So we've got 9 results that are in a low flood zone area. So if I want to send these to my customer, I can click select all, save the search. So I can type in the email address of the recipient here. I can copy myself in on that email. I think that pretty much covers the really cool features. It is without question the easiest platform for prospecting. You can prospect with Realist. You can even prospect with RPR. Remine is by far the easiest tool that we have for prospecting. It's the only tool we have for searching for properties by flood zone, and it's the only tool that we have where you can click on any of these property cards. Now, I think for active properties, they remove the contact information. Yes. So you notice down here, this is because the property is active. So when anytime a property is active, the contact information gets locked, where you're not going to be able to see the phone numbers and the email address of those property owners. Thanks, guys. Everybody have a wonderful day. I appreciate you taking the time to be here.